in a chilling twist that has left the hip-hop world gasping for answers. The shocking death of Kodak Black's close associate and rising Broward County artist, WizDaWizard, has sparked a firestorm of rumors, betrayal, and whispers of a calculated hit. Was it a random act of violence, or something far more sinister, something orchestrated? Fans are shocked, the streets are talking, and emotions are running dangerously high. Just days before his tragic end, WizDaWizard was reportedly entangled in a heated feud that had grown way beyond music. Cryptic Instagram stories, deleted tweets, and unsettling voice notes are painting a picture of paranoia, loyalty being tested, and perhaps ultimate betrayal. Some say he was plotting to leave Sniper Gang. Others claim he knew too much about internal beef, and when you're too close to the flame, you get burned. Kodak Black has remained eerily silent. His inner circle divided. His family is torn apart by grief and suspicion. And as the timeline of events begins to unravel, one question hangs in the air like a dark cloud. Was this a revenge hit? Or was WizDaWizard silenced before he could expose something bigger? Buckle up, because what we've uncovered will shake you to the core. The death of WizDaWizard didn't just send shockwaves through the streets of Broward County. It detonated a bomb inside the heart of Kodak Black's Sniper Gang empire. The morning his lifeless body was discovered on the sidewalk of a quiet Florida neighborhood, questions flooded the internet faster than the coroner could arrive. How could someone so closely tied to one of hip-hop's most influential and controversial figures end up executed in cold blood? And why did the people closest to him suddenly go silent? Whispers started immediately. Fans noticed something strange. Kodak Black, the man who had once called WizDaWizard his little brother in the trenches, didn't post a tribute, didn't comment, didn't even like a single post about the tragedy. The silence spoke volumes. Was it grief, guilt, or something darker? Sources close to the scene revealed that WizDaWizard's phone was missing, along with a duffel bag he always carried. And here's where it gets wild. Just 2 days before his death, Wiz had posted a cryptic story with the caption, "If something happens to me, remember everything I ever said." He deleted it an hour later, but not before screenshots went viral. Fans were convinced this wasn't random. This was premeditated. A former Sniper Gang producer who asked to remain anonymous told us something even more chilling. Wiz was getting paranoid. He wasn't moving the same. Stopped coming to the studio at night. Was asking a lot of questions about money, about loyalty, about who really had his back. The producer paused. "He told me straight up, if anything happens to me, someone I know did it." Friends close to Wiz say he had recently confronted Kodak over unpaid royalties and creative control. Apparently, Wiz believed he was being boxed out of deals and that Kodak was intentionally shelving his projects. "He said he loved Yak," said one of his friends, "but he didn't trust him no more." Behind the scenes, things were getting ugly. Text messages leaked from Wiz's ex-girlfriend showed arguments between Wiz and someone saved in his phone as KB. In one message, Wiz wrote, "I ain't your puppet. I helped build this, don't play me." Another message simply said, "You'll regret this." Then there's the footage. Security cameras from a gas station near where Wiz was last seen show a black SUV trailing his car. 30 minutes later, Wiz was found dead, shot multiple times. No witnesses, no cameras at the exact location. The police called it a targeted hit, but the label called it a tragedy. No suspects, no arrests. The streets weren't buying it. Kodak finally broke his silence 3 days later, not with a heartfelt message, but a 5-second video on his story. In it, he's sitting in a studio, smoking, with the caption, "Life go on." The backlash was instant. Fans flooded his comments with snake emojis. Others started questioning everything. Why would Kodak show so little emotion if his own artist, his own blood, was gone? Emotions ran high at Wiz's candlelight vigil. His mother sobbed uncontrollably as family members clashed with members of Sniper Gang who showed up late, some intoxicated. Witnesses say a shouting match broke out between Wiz's older cousin and a Sniper Gang associate known as Trigger Trail. "Where was y'all when he needed you?" The cousin screamed. "He told me what y'all was plotting. You think God don't see this?" The video of that altercation went viral, with fans dissecting every word, every glare, every clenched fist. Some even claimed they heard someone in the background yell, "Yak, set him up." Though the audio is unclear, it only added more fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, an anonymous Twitter account began dropping supposed insider info. One tweet read, "Wiz had receipts, hard drives, messages, stuff that could ruin careers." Another said, it wasn't just about music, it was about secrets. Kodak's legal team quickly moved to shut down the rumors, but the internet wasn't having it. Conspiracy theories exploded. One even suggested that Wiz had discovered something about an old case involving Kodak, something he wasn't supposed to know. Others believed Wiz was planning to sign with another label and take some of Sniper Gang's hottest up-and-coming talent with him. If true, that would have been a massive blow and potentially a motive. But the most jaw-dropping twist came when Wiz's mother filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Not against an unknown suspect, but against Sniper Gang Entertainment, LLC. In the legal documents, she claimed gross negligence, emotional abuse, and even intentional sabotage of her son's career. It was a move that sent the industry into a frenzy. The lawsuit implied that someone inside the label knew something, or worse, had something to do with his death. Kodak responded with a brief, tense statement. "I would never hurt my brother. Whatever he was going through, I tried to help." People switch up. That only made things worse. Back in the streets of Broward County, murals of Wiz began popping up with the words, "Long live Wiz," and "Snakes in the grass" sprayed in red. Fans started creating timelines, dissecting his final Instagram posts, analyzing every lyric from his last mixtape for clues. One line in particular stood out. "They say family, but they folding when the money in sight." Was that about Kodak? Interviews with local radio personalities and DJs suggested that Wiz had been in talks with other artists rivals of Kodak. One name that kept popping up, Hot Boy. He and Kodak have had a long-standing feud, and sources claim Wiz was recently spotted in the studio with one of Hot Boy's producers. If that's true, it could explain the tension. In the world of Florida rap, loyalty isn't just a word, it's survival. As more stories poured in, more people started pointing fingers. One of Wiz's longtime friends, Rico Flomez, dropped a freestyle on Instagram that had fans shook. In it, he rapped, "Cut from the team. He was speaking too loud, now he sleep in the clouds. While the snake wear the crown." The post was deleted within hours, but the internet had already run wild. The deeper people dug, the more tangled the web became. Some fans claimed there was another artist in Sniper Gang who had beef with Wiz over a woman. Others suggested that Wiz had been secretly recording conversations, building evidence, trying to protect himself in case things got messy. And they did. But nothing could prepare the public for what was about to come next: a leaked voice memo, allegedly from Wiz himself, recorded days before his death. In the audio, a tired, frustrated voice says, "They think I don't see what's going on. They think I'm stupid. But I ain't going out like no fool. I got it all backed up. If they try me, it's all dropping." The memo ends with a name, whispered, barely audible, but unmistakable. Yak. Yak. And that, right there, is where everything unraveled. Because once that clip surfaced, the internet exploded. Kodak Black was no longer just mourning an artist. He was now at the center of what fans were calling a rap assassination cover-up. But was it really Yak behind the scenes? Or was someone else pulling strings while Kodak got caught in the crossfire? The morning after that leaked voice memo shook the internet. WizDaWizard's mother called an emergency press conference outside. Her home, with swollen eyes and trembling hands, she clutched a printed photo of her son and faced a wall of cameras. "My son told me he was in danger. He told me people he trusted were turning on him. He didn't feel safe. And now he's gone." Reporters were stunned. This wasn't just grief speaking. This was a mother making a public accusation. While she didn't mention Kodak by name, she didn't have to. The air was thick with implication, and the streets heard her loud and clear. But what really set the internet on fire came just hours later, when an alleged snippet from Kodak's unreleased track surfaced online. In the short clip, he raps. Everybody switching, even Lil Bro got bold. Now his page gone ghost and his body turned cold. Fans lost it. Was this a diss to Wiz? A confession? Or just another eerie coincidence? One fan tweeted, "Ain't no way Yak just said that," right after the memo dropped. This too calculated. Another replied, "If he didn't do it, he damn sure acting like he did." The backlash snowballed. Kodak's comment sections turned toxic. People started unfollowing him. Radio stations debated pulling his songs. Even industry insiders started distancing themselves. One Atlanta-based producer tweeted, "Too much weird energy coming out of Florida RN. I'm laying low on them, collabs." Behind the scenes, Sniper Gang was falling apart. Internal sources leaked that 2 artists had already requested to be released from their contracts. Another threatened to expose everything if his name got dragged into the drama. The label's foundation was crumbling, and it seemed like everyone had something to lose. And then came the betrayal that nobody saw coming. A close childhood friend of Kodak, known only by his street name, Note, went live on Instagram in a late-night stream that hit over 300,000 viewers before it was taken down. During the chaotic, barely coherent rant, he made one thing clear. He believed WizDaWizard was set up. Yak wasn't the only one mad at Wiz. Note said, pacing back and forth in his driveway, eyes wild. It was bigger than that. Wiz knew something? He was gone, blow the lid off some asterisk, and they couldn't let that happen. I ain't saying names, but it wasn't just Yak, it was people around him. They made that call. As soon as the stream ended, conspiracy theorists went into overdrive. Reddit threads exploded. YouTube channels dropped hour-long breakdowns. People began identifying members of Sniper Gang who had been unusually quiet. One name kept coming. Uptrigger Trell. The same guy who got into that shouting match at Wiz's vigil. Fans began dissecting his lyrics, his old tweets, even the chain he wore in his latest video. One blurry screenshot showed him wearing a pendant that some claimed belonged to Wiz. Others said it was fake. Either way, the rumor had already spread. Kodak's silence was no longer mysterious. It was deafening then. As if the universe wanted to confirm the chaos, a massive data breach hit a cloud storage service connected to Sniper Gang. Dozens of files were leaked, some personal, some legal, some damning. Among them were snippets of email exchanges, audio files, and allegedly, screenshots of bank transfers between label affiliates and unknown recipients dated just days before Wiz's death. One audio file labeled Comp Call Final seemed to feature a group of voices arguing. A deep voice says, "We can't let him do that. If he talks, we all fed." Another responds, "It's already handled. He won't say." Fans were convinced it was the smoking gun, but Kodak's team quickly called it fake. His lawyer issued a statement saying, These are doctored, manipulated clips designed to smear our client's name. We will pursue legal action against anyone distributing false evidence. Still, the damage was done. People believed what they wanted to believe. More and more of them believed Kodak wasn't as innocent as he claimed. Meanwhile, WizDaWizard's little sister, Destiny, who had been quiet throughout the drama, finally broke her silence in a heartfelt post that ripped through social media. "My brother died scared. He died thinking people he loved were out to hurt him. Y'all can cover it up all you want, but God don't sleep." The comment section was flooded with support, but also with theories. Some fans claimed Destiny had been threatened into staying silent until now. Others believed she was about to drop her own receipts. And then, 3 days later, she did. Destiny uploaded a short video, just 2 minutes long, of WizDaWizard pacing in their mother's living room, visibly agitated, talking into the camera. "They think 'cause I'm quiet, I'm dumb. I know. What's going on? I know who've been plotting on me. They acting like I'm paranoid, but I've seen the calls. I heard the whispers. If anything happens to me, look at who benefits. Look at who gets paid. It ain't no strangers." She ended the video with the caption, "Y'all wanted proof." The internet went into meltdown. Suddenly, this wasn't just a tragedy it was a full-blown war between truth and power. Kodak's fanbase began splitting. Some stood by him, saying there was no real proof. Others turned on him completely, calling him the mastermind behind a cover-up. But while everyone pointed fingers at Kodak, one name quietly started to rise in the background. Big Loss, WizDaWizard's former manager. He had been quiet since the beginning, mourning in silence. But now, he had something to say. In a surprise interview with a local Florida podcast, Big Loss dropped bombshell after bombshell. Wiz was trying to leave the label. He had a deal lined up. It was bigger than anything Sniper Gang could offer. And that made some people nervous. He continued, he had dirt. Real dirt. Not just music stuff. Stuff from years ago. And they knew if he left, he might talk. When asked who he meant by they, Big Loss went silent for a moment. Then said, "Follow the money. It'll lead you to the answer." That single interview reopened wounds and deepened suspicions. And just when the heat was at its highest, something unexpected happened: an arrest. Not Kodak, not Trigger Trail, not anyone from Sniper Gang, but a low-level affiliate named J-Mix, known for running errands and driving artists around. Was picked up on unrelated charges, but when questioned about WizDaWizard's death, he reportedly started talking. Rumors spread that J-Mix admitted to being near the scene that night, and that he named names. No official confirmation came from the police, but suddenly, Sniper Gang's legal team went into overdrive, cease and desist letters, digital takedowns, even threats of defamation lawsuits. It was clear someone was scared. But was it because lies were being spread, or because the truth was coming out? Just when people thought the saga couldn't get any deeper, another shockwave hit. A private investigator, reportedly hired by Wiz's mother, claimed to have obtained security footage from a nearby residential camera that had never been submitted to police, while the contents of the footage weren't released to the public. Sources close to the investigation said it showed a vehicle linked to Sniper Gang circling the neighborhood minutes before the shooting. And just like that, the story turned from speculation to evidence. Real questions, real consequences. But with all eyes still locked on Kodak Black, some people started asking what if he wasn't the one who ordered it? What if he was just the face of a bigger machine? Because as the details piled up, so did the possibilities. And the deeper we go, the darker it gets. But there's more, much more to uncover. As word of the unreleased security footage began to leak, social media entered a full-blown frenzy. Memes, breakdown videos, conspiracy threads, they were everywhere. Fans, bloggers, even rival rappers began commenting on the case like it was the biggest rap trial of the decade. But the most unexpected voice came from someone who had been ghost for years, former Sniper Gang co-founder Finesse Dre, who had mysteriously vanished from the music scene years ago after falling out with Kodak, posted a shocking thread. On X, "I told y'all years ago, Sniper Gang been dirty. I left because I seen too much. Rest in peace to Wiz, but he ain't the first who got played dirty. He just the one who fought back." That thread blew up instantly. Fans began pulling receipts from Finesse Dre's past interviews, analyzing old footage of him and Kodak. The narrative began to shift. People were no longer just questioning whether Kodak had something to do with WizDaWizard's death. They were now questioning everything about the Sniper Gang brand. Meanwhile, within Sniper Gang's own circle, the trust was collapsing. Two of its lesser-known members went live together, accidentally leaving the stream running after they thought they ended it. One could be heard saying, "Yo, if they pull those phone records, it's over." The other replied, "Nah, we good long?" as J-Don T flip. That short clip circulated fast, further adding suspicion that there was a full-blown cover-up in motion. But then came the moment nobody was ready. For a hard drive allegedly belonging to WizDaWizard was mailed anonymously to a Florida-based journalist known for covering street-level rap beefs. He didn't post the full contents, but he uploaded a 10-minute teaser video showing parts of the drive. And what he showed changed everything. The footage began with Wiz, alone in what looked like a hotel room, speaking directly to the camera. "They've been blackballing me. They stole from me. I tried to stay loyal, but loyalty ain't love. I kept quiet, out of respect, but now I'm done." He then pulls out a notebook and begins naming names people within Sniper Gang producers. Managers, even Kodak's name comes up more than once. "They took more than money from me," he says. "They took trust." The next clip was a screen recording of Wiz scrolling through text messages, DM screenshots, and recorded voice calls. While not everything was clear, one voice deep, unmistakable said, "He better chill before he makes this harder than it gotta be." Fans believed it was Kodak. Others said it could be someone else from the team mimicking him. But perception had already taken over reality. Kodak's single quotes as team responded quickly, calling the footage highly edited, illegally obtained, and manipulated. But even some of Kodak's biggest defenders started to waver. Around him changed. Some fans said his eyes looked different in recent lives. More tired, more paranoid. Others claimed he was doing damage control, offering hush money behind the scenes to people connected to Wiz. Then, at a moment that turned the entire situation into something straight out of a movie, Destiny Wiz's sister claimed someone broke into their family's home. She said nothing was stolen, except one thing: Wiz's old phone. The same one that had gone missing the day of his death. "They were looking for something," she posted. "They didn't. Want y'all to see what he left behind?" Now, the narrative had officially shifted from coincidence to conspiracy. 1 week later, Destiny went on Instagram Live and dropped a bombshell. She had a second hard drive, and she was giving it to a private legal team for safekeeping. "If something happens to me, or my mom, or anybody in my family, it's over for all y'all. Everything on that drive is going to the feds, the blogs, everybody." The live was only 5 minutes, but it had hundreds of thousands of views within the hour. Comments flooded in, some supportive, others threatening. Clearly, someone didn't want that second hard drive to see the light of day. The very next day, a mysterious fire broke out in a storage unit registered to Wiz's name. The fire marshal said it appeared to be electrical, but fans were already screaming sabotage. Made it worse? It was the same storage facility where Wiz reportedly kept his original masters and legal documents from his split negotiations with Sniper Gang. People weren't just suspicious anymore, they were angry. Justice started trending. Who had never spoken on the issue before began weighing in. Megan Thee Stallion reposted a photo of Wiz with the caption, "Rest in power." Rapper 21 Savage tweeted, "The game got too many snakes." It was becoming clear this wasn't just a rap story anymore. It was a cultural moment. In the midst of it all, Kodak Black finally scheduled a live interview with one of hip-hop's biggest platforms. Fans waited, thousands of them tuned in, hoping for the truth. But what they got only deepened the mystery. Kodak appeared visibly irritated, puffing on a blunt and avoiding direct answers. When asked about the voice recordings, he smirked and said, "Man, y'all believe anything these blogs post?" That boy was confused. Paranoid, he got caught up in his own head. But when the interviewer pushed again, asking if he had anything to do with Wiz's death, Kodak's smile disappeared. "You know how many people would want me locked up? Y'all keep playing detective while the real shooter's out there walking free." He never said no. And that silence said more than words ever could. But not everyone was ready to write Kodak off. A new theory began to emerge, one that pointed the blame away from him and toward a shadowy figure in the sniper gang ecosystem. Kev Ra, a behind-the-scenes executive known for handling business off the books. Kev had never been in the spotlight. But leaked texts now suggested he had been in contact with Wiz days before his death, offering him a fresh start and safe exit. Was it an olive branch or a setup? Fans began accusing Kev Ra of playing both sides, keeping Kodak in the dark while orchestrating something more sinister behind the scenes. Some claimed he had ties to local gangs with grudges against Wiz. Others believed he was protecting someone even higher up, someone outside the music world entirely. And here's where things took a completely unexpected turn. An ex-federal informant, who had previously worked with ATF in Florida, came forward, anonymously claiming that Wiz had been under surveillance before his death. He claimed there was an open case tied to money laundering and illegal firearm trafficking, and that Wiz might have been cooperating. If true, that changed everything. It meant Wiz could have been killed, not just over label beef, but to silence him before he exposed something far bigger. But the feds refused to comment. And that only made the speculation worse. The streets were at a boiling point. Sniper gang affiliates began getting jumped, harassed, even robbed. Shows were getting canceled. Venues didn't want the drama. Kodak's tour dates began vanishing from websites with no explanation. And yet, through all of it, Destiny kept posting. Every day, one photo, one memory, one quote, all with the same caption: "Truth, don't die." And with every post, the pressure grew. Because whether or not Kodak pulled the trigger, whether or not he gave the order, one thing was now clear to everybody watching. This wasn't just about one artist's death. This was about secrets, betrayal, and the price of silence in a game that never forgives. And as investigators began to connect new dots, as more witnesses started talking, one final name was about to drop. One that no one, not even Kodak, saw coming. The name that surfaced next didn't come from a blog, a leaked message, or an anonymous account. It came from an official source, a heavily redacted police document that was quietly released through a public records request filed by a local news outlet. Buried deep within the document was a witness statement, and a name that flipped the entire story on its head: Romeo Da Don, for those not familiar with the streets of South Florida. Romeo Da Don was a notorious figure, former manager turned power broker who once had ties with both Sniper Gang and rival crews. He disappeared from the scene 5 years ago after a suspicious shooting left one of his artists paralyzed. Many thought he went underground. Some believed he was locked up. Others thought he was dead, but now, according to the document, He wasn't just alive. He was reportedly seen meeting with WizDaWizard just days before the murder. And the conversation, allegedly about making moves without Yak, within hours of the leak, Romeo's name was trending. People started digging into his past, his ties, his enemies. One photo surfaced from years ago, showing him and Kodak in a club with their arms around each other, flashing money and gang signs. But what caught everyone's eye wasn't Demit, was Wiz in the background, looking dead serious while everyone else was laughing. Suddenly, fans began wondering if the entire Sniper Gang drama was a distraction. If Kodak had been the fall guy for a deeper betrayal orchestrated by Romeo DeDon and a group of outsiders who saw Wiz as both a threat and an opportunity. According to sources close to the investigation, Romeo had approached Wiz with a deal. Leave Sniper Gang, expose what you know, and sign under my new label. In return, Romeo would provide protection, money, and a clean slate. But here's the twist: someone from Sniper Gang found out about the meeting. And that's when the wheels of destruction were set in motion. Who found out? That remains unclear. But a new witness, an ex-security guard, who once worked events for both Kodak and Romeo, claimed in a recorded interview that tensions had been boiling for months. It was only a matter of time before somebody got clipped, he said. Too many egos, too much money, and way too many secrets. As this interview went viral, a completely unexpected person entered the conversation: Kodak Black's mother, in an emotional Instagram Live. She cried while holding a photo of her son as a child. "I raised a good boy. He's not perfect, but he's not a killer. They try to break him down because he's powerful, because he made it out." The internet was torn. Half the comments were filled with hearts and support. The other half called it damage control. But her words ignited something deeper. What if Kodak was being set up not by the streets, but by the people closest to him? The theory gained traction after a new piece of evidence surfaced: GPS metadata from Wiz's car the night of his death. An independent tech analyst shared the info online, showing that the car had stopped briefly outside a warehouse known to be owned by an associate of Romeo DeDon. Was it a planned meet, an ambush, or a last-second detour that turned fatal? Nobody knew for sure. But what made everything spiral again was a leaked voice note allegedly sent by Romeo to an unknown contact. In it, he says, "We gave him a shot. He made his choice. We can't help him now." Though the authenticity hasn't been confirmed, fans immediately connected it to Wiz's murder. The narrative kept evolving. Kodak might not have ordered the hit. Romeo might have. Or maybe they both didn't and someone else acted alone, trying to score favor, cover tracks, or settle old debts. And that's when Destiny dropped the second hard drive. She didn't release it online. Instead, she gave exclusive access to one of the biggest documentary filmmakers in the game, someone who promised to treat the footage with integrity. Teasers began appearing on YouTube. Voice recordings, private vlogs, even diary entries from Wiz, where he expressed fear, frustration, and betrayal. In one clip, he wrote, "I know too much. I was too loyal. Now I'm stuck between snakes and demons." The docu-series was titled Trapped in Sniper Gang, and within 24 hours of the trailer dropping, it had 2 million views. The industry couldn't ignore it anymore. Execs started distancing themselves. Jays stopped spinning Sniper Gang tracks. Kodak's endorsements were either pulled or put on pause. And Romeo DeDon completely vanished. Again, no posts, no sightings, just gone. But the most surreal moment came at a local charity event held in WizDaWizard's honor. Kodak showed up unannounced. No cameras, no entourage, just him in a hoodie and sunglasses. Witnesses say he quietly placed a chain on the memorial table. Wiz's chain. The one nobody had seen since his death. Some say it was guilt. Others say it was a message. Either way, it left people speechless. Later that night, Destiny posted a photo of the chain with the caption, "Don't act righteous now." The chain was later confirmed to have Wiz's DNA on it, meaning someone had kept it after his death. Investigators reopened the case officially the next week, citing new credible leads and emerging witnesses. While no charges have been filed, they confirmed that multiple people are under surveillance, and they are actively working with digital forensic teams to verify all evidence submitted, including the leaked voice memos, text messages, and hard drive materials. Fans are now wondering if arrests are coming. Who's getting taken down first? Kodak, Romeo Da, Trigger Trell, Kev Raw, or someone we haven't even heard about yet? What's painfully clear is that WizDaWizard didn't just die. He was caught in a web of betrayal, power moves, and silence. A young artist, full of potential, trapped between loyalty and self-preservation. And now, with every day that passes, his story becomes less about music and more about justice. But in the midst of the chaos, a new voice has started to rise, Destiny. She's announced plans to launch the Wiz Truth Foundation, dedicated to helping young artists navigate the dark side of the industry. And she's vowed to make sure her brother's story doesn't get buried under scandals and silence. "They took him from us," she said in a recent video. But they didn't take his voice. "I'll be that voice. And I'll keep going until the whole truth is out." The video ended with her holding up a folder labeled "Final Doc." "This ain't over," she said. "Not by a long shot." And just like that, the countdown began, not just to the truth, but to the fallout. Because when the truth finally drops, it won't just shake the industry, it might burn it to the ground. So now we're left with a story that feels more like a Hollywood thriller than real life, a young rising artist gone too soon. Whispers of betrayal from the people he once called family, and a trail of evidence that keeps pointing in every direction, but still feels like it's circling the same core. WizDaWizard didn't just vanish into tragedy. He left behind a legacy of questions, recordings, and warnings. A voice memo, a chain, a hard drive, all pointing to something bigger, deeper, darker than we imagined. Was it an orchestrated hit? Was it revenge? Was it business gone cold and ruthless? Or was it personal, a matter of loyalty, of pride, of fear? Kodak Black stands in the eye of the storm, defiant, silent, unpredictable. Romeo Da resurfaces as a ghost from the past, potentially pulling strings no one saw. Destiny, Wiz's sister, now carries the torch, refusing to let her brother's memory be twisted, erased, or buried. But the truth, it still hides in shadows. And somewhere out there, someone knows exactly what happened that night. Now, it's your turn. What do you think really happened to WizDaWizard? Was this a tragic case of betrayal, or is there another layer waiting to be uncovered? Did Kodak Black know more than he's saying, or is he being framed by the very people who once claimed loyalty? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear everything, your theories, your feelings, your takes. Like this video if you want more deep dives into the truth behind hip-hop's darkest mysteries. Hit that subscribe button to stay locked in as this story develops, because this case, it's far from over. And remember, in this game, silence speaks volumes. But the truth always finds its voice.